But last year, after, this president came into office, the chaos started. And as an immigration lawyer, it was hard and fast for us. And as the wife of an immigrant who is a U.S. citizen now, I don't think that I should be scared every time he leaves the house, but I am. So that's kind of where I started. I started calling and emailing Jerry Moran and Roger Marshall. Of course, they didn't want to hear from any of us. And then we found out through a Facebook group that he was going to have his Oakley Town Hall. And I said, well, I'm going to go. And then I was trying to talk myself out of it because I was going to have to leave around 3 a.m. and that did not sound good. But there were so many people that wanted to go and couldn't. And I said, well, okay, you know what? No, we're going to do this. And I actually took their questions with me and was ready to ask. And of course, we know what happened in Oakley. He ran off. And I was livid. I thought that was so disrespectful to everybody in that room. I thought, if you can't sit here and try to bring us together, try to help us understand. If we shouldn't be scared, help us understand. Listen to why we are scared. But that's not what he wanted to do. And so after that, I started, talking to a lot of people and kicking around the idea of running for office. And turned out that the seat that was going to be available was this one. And I was like, well, if that's not meant to be. And I had told him in Oakley, I said, I'm going to take your job that day. So I guess I'm going to. I started going to events. I've been at the protests with everybody. I've been on the ground with, I know y'all probably all been too, in the cold, in the heat, in everything. And this is not how our country's supposed to be. My ancestors served in the Revolution and in a lot of the worst sense. And so I'm very proud of this country. I understand that we do have a past that we need to reckon with. It does not make any of us bad people, which is the narrative that I see the right trying to push, is that that's what we're supposed to feel, or they're trying to make us feel. But I think we can love this country and appreciate what it has come from and where we are now. And to me, the immigrants of today are no different than my ancestors that came for a better life. So immigration is important right now, obviously. I had hoped that it would actually become less of an issue, but it seems to be becoming more of an issue. So if you have questions about that, feel free to ask me. I really like to do these as ask me what you want to know, because I don't want to tell you what I think you want to hear. I want to know what's important to you. So if anybody has questions, I welcome them. Yes, ma'am.
If you're elected, what can you do, or how can you work to get health care taken care of? Because that is a major issue and it needs to be taken care
Agreed. So my plan is actually, what I want to do is have all kids eligible for Medicare or Medicaid.
Medicare for kids.
Medicare for kids. So everybody up to 18, right? We're going to insure them. They're the cheapest group to insure. They're the healthiest group to insure. And I don't know who can argue with let's take care of our kids. At some point, because I've talked to people, if we try to do it overnight, our healthcare system will collapse. We cannot insure everybody overnight like that. But it should be what we're moving towards. And I think we can get there if we do it right. So we insure the kids. We get money in the coffers. And then we start extending that. Maybe we go up to 26. And then, because that's another group that's young and healthy and easy to insure. I think at one point they tried to do Medicare. They tried to extend it from the top down, from the top age down, and they couldn't because they couldn't keep up with the funding for it. But if we go from the bottom up and get the money, and then maybe at some point we can start bringing it down before we get, the middle-aged crew. But we do it incrementally, and eventually we get to health care for everybody. Because in the United States of America, in 2026, the wealthiest country in the world, if we can't take care of our people, then what are we doing? So I agree with you. It has to be addressed, and we do have a plan to address it, and I think it's something that I can sell to the other side.
To follow up on that, there's one issue that I think if I read somewhere that it kind of started when Reagan was president, which is the matter of profit in healthcare. Up until that point, if I understand right, it was somewhat controlled.
What was the name of it again? You're talking softly.
Oh, the profit in healthcare.
Oh, profit in
It was
healthcare.
somewhat controlled up until Reagan's presidency,
Yeah.
and is just, it's got, well, we all know what it is.
Brushed under the table, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's completely out of control,
Yeah.
and it diminishes our healthcare.
Well, and that's actually, that kind of leads me into, and I hope I don't bore you with this one, but I'm really big on this. We've got to update and enforce our antitrust laws. We haven't done it in a long time,
Yeah.
and these corporations are out of control. These tech companies are out of control. And I started calling them their tech lords and we're their tech serfs because we rent everything these days, right? Y'all remember when you got a computer, you bought the software, and then you owned it. You could use it forever. Now you have to subscribe to everything. And half the time, you lose track of how many subscriptions you have, and you have to go through and figure out, what am I paying for? What do I not need? It's so much red tape for the people. And if we can focus on, if we do this, the antitrust, right, and we can bust up the monopolies and bust up the big tech companies, this is going to go across the board, right? Because we have tech in healthcare. We have tech in our classrooms. We have tech on the farmers' equipment. They can't repair their equipment because of that tech. So they are making bank, and every day we're getting charged more, and the American people can't take it anymore. And so that ties into my plan to go after these big corporations, and we've got to update and enforce our antitrust laws. It has to be done. And we're actually going to I'm doing a podcast with my friend Cade. Cade went to school with me, and he's a lawyer in Washington, and he loved studying antitrust. So we're going to have a conversation about that. So watch for that. It's our next one that we're putting out. So that'll be coming up soon. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I just have a comment related to the immigration process. When you think back, we were the immigrants. I mean, we came over and destroyed the Native Americans and took over the land. So who in the heck should we? Why would we want to neglect everybody else? Because we are those immigrants. And it makes me mad when people start criticizing immigrants.
We took the time on our way back from D.C. at Thanksgiving to watch the town hall. And thank you. Congratulations to you.
Chopped salad? Yeah.
Of the
Yes.
3 candidates, and is there a 4th now?
There's actually 5.
Oh, 5?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the 3 that were on there, the 3 women, you are the one with the passion. And I hope that you can capitalize on your passion and the fact that you're a young woman, professional woman. Preach it, sister. Because, it's so important. And so, of the 3 of you, Chrissy Davis and Sandy and you were the one that had the passion. And that's what it's going to take, because I think people out here and everywhere, look at what happened with Mom Donnie. You know what? We have to have a different narrative. So, you talking about antitrust, I preach it. Because people have to be educated about this stuff. I went to law school at the age of 40. In 1994, and I wish I would have gone. I wish I could have gone earlier. But anyway, congratulations. Keep it up. Keep your passion. Push it. We need you out here.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you this, and Angela will tell you. And if you're interested in coming to one of our meetings, we have our full team meeting on Thursdays at 6 via Zoom. You're welcome to join it. See what we're about, because we are truly people who are here fighting for our people.
Well, and you're talking about things that the other 2 don't talk about, and I can see that, because first of all, you've got the experience. You've got me. It's really important. So that does actually segue into my question of you earlier.
Yeah.
If you want to talk? When you want to talk about it?
No, I can talk about it right now. So, you're all aware of the amendment that's coming up for a vote next year on the Supreme Court justices?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I'll just give you a little more background, and you can find this online and see where I came from. So may I borrow this for a second? So if you look at this envelope, you're going to see a different logo. This was just me. April 5th, I gave a speech at the Topeka Capitol. It was all me. I didn't have any consultants, didn't have a team. That's the day I met Angela, actually. And so I've gone from this to this, which, like, I'm floored by the talent of the team that I have. One of the things that I was doing when I started this, because I think it's so important, and you'll hear me say it, and people get mad at me for saying that we've got to talk to people that we disagree with, but if we don't, I say it all the time, united we stand, divided we fall. If we can't find a way, and I'm not talking about extremists, but if we can't find a way to talk to those people that if they saw what we're seeing, they wouldn't support it, if they understood what we understand, they wouldn't support it, we got to find a way to talk to people, and we've got to be able to do it without shouting at them, without making them feel like they're not smart. I think we have a big problem with that, and believe me, I have been guilty of it. For the first 4 years of this president, I was fighting with everybody online, and I was winning all of them, but it wouldn't do anything. So, when Biden came to office, huge sigh of relief. This man came back and. Okay, my anger's not working. I got to figure something else out. Because I can either be mad and get on my soapboxes, or I can try to save my country, and I'd rather try to save my country. So one thing that I did when the issue first arose, when I first heard about the amendment to change how we elect our Supreme Court justices, I actually did an informational video for the public. I did my research, and I told Miss Janice that I'm happy to send those articles that I found on that issue to everybody, and I'm happy to try to help other people understand. I will tell you, the research that I have done confirmed what I thought, but it's a huge issue. It puts our judiciary at risk. The way that we do it in Kansas is the best way, according to the experts, and in my opinion, because what we do is, we have a panel who selects individuals, and they send it to the governor. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I remember from my research. And then the governor selects the Supreme Court justice, and the people still going to say, and I think it's important for people to understand that, because after their first year in office, we vote whether to keep them or not. And if we keep them, then I think it's every 6 years after that. So I think it's really important for people to understand that we do get a say in it. So that might be something that you could talk to people that don't really get it, about. But I also like to tell this story because, and there's a lot of research, but this story, if you haven't heard it, have you heard of the Scottsboro Boys?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
No.
So this is a case from, I think it's Alabama. I'm pretty sure it's Alabama. But what happened was there were some young black men, I would call them, some of them were actually under 18, on a train. And this was back shortly after World War II and the Depression. And so people would hop trains to go find work, right? So they had hopped on a train, and they encountered a few young white men who began to start a fight with them. They ended up getting off the train, but then they were accused by two young white women of sexual assault. They did not do that, and they spent years fighting for their freedom, and you should look it up. I do have articles on that if anybody's interested. But it showed, because I think at first there was a judge that was, he let them go. Like he let them go. Well, he didn't get reelected because they were all reelected. He made everybody in the town mad. So judges will be influenced by that in their decisions if they have to keep up with public opinion, right? And I don't think any of us want the general public deciding whether we're guilty or innocent, right? Like, that's terrifying. So it is a huge issue. It is very important. And I know Miss Janice says they're going to have some billboards.
And this is called the merit system. When you're talking to people about it, what we have now in Kansas is the merit system. And that's what's so important, because you know what happens when you get elections, when you get involved in elections. The most money buys the candidate. So what we're doing for the next billboard, and I asked permission to do this, these are going up all over February 1st to replace the first one. And so when people say, real Kansans don't buy judges, that's what we mean. Elections, the Koch brothers and the rest of them, and here's the deal, I think. This is all a way to get back at what happened in 2022 with the abortion amendment, because they didn't like Carol Byer and the Supreme Court justices, and they're trying to kick them out and put their own in. And there's a huge vetting process with this merit system. So and you have to be a certain age, and you have to have practiced 10 years. And what she said in her presentation was, there's nothing in this amendment about how they're going to handle all of that. I mean, what?
I don't understand.
There's nothing in the amendment that talks about how they'll handle who can run, who can be elected to be a Supreme Court justice.
Okay.
Right now there are rules. You have to be 30.
Okay.
You have to practice 10 years. This will be the wild, wild west. There's no guarantee under this amendment. They don't have any mechanism for how they're going to do it. And it could be, maybe not even have to be a lawyer. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Any Joe Blow can put their name on this ballot, and if they've got the most money, they're going to win. So it's a really important. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And then we have a third one coming up the day after the primary.
Wow. Very good.
And that'll be for the election in November. And right now, I know what it's going to say. It's going to say, "Real Kansans, feed kids, fix roads, fund schools.
Good.
Vote for Democrats." On whatever, I forget the day,
Ballot.
November 3rd or whatever.
November 3rd, my birthday.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. You know what?
Perfect.
We have so many Democrats running, which is an embarrassment of riches. So we've got almost all these elections filled now with an opponent, right? There are a lot of them are filled. So you can't list them all. Can't list all the names.
Right.
But we're going to push it. And anyway, that's the plan.
Right.
Well, and that actually, you touched on something else that's a huge issue for me, and part of the reason that I got into it, but also something that I've learned more about along the way that I've just gotten angrier and angrier about it, and that is that our politicians, these establishment politicians, they're bought and paid for. And that is something that I have been harping on. We gotta have some campaign finance reform. We've got to be clear that corporations are not people, and get them out of our elections. We have to. What I would really love to see is, so there's 5 of us running for this office, right? You all have the same amount to spend, and that's all you get. And so you go out to the people and you say, "This is who I am. This is what I have to offer you," and then you go home. You let the people decide. No more this smear campaign and this vitriol and all this nonsense that we've been seeing all these years. And I'll play their game while they're in control of the rules. But when I get there, I am changing the rules because I am done with the way things are being done.
I do have one more thing that in court, in Saline County District Court, earlier this month, it was established, the courtroom, that Roger Marshall resides in Florida.
Oh,
that was a lawsuit. That was a lawsuit, and it's public record. You know that Haley Helzer went down to Sarasota to visit her aunt, and she found out his address. And they went over there, and she stood in front of the house on the street side of the curb, holding a sign. Our sign.
I saw it on
our sign. Okay, you saw that? Right. She had a sign that said Roger Marshall, or her shirt said Roger Marshall lives in Florida. She had this fed up sign. His niece from Augusta started harassing her so badly that Haley had to file a protection from stalking lawsuit.
Wow.
And it finally came to a hearing, December or January, I don't remember what date it was. But anyway, she showed up from Great Bend with one of Roger Marshall's big buddies from hunting lodges. And the whole thing came out about something about the hunting lodge and where he lives and on and on and on about the one-room shack. Turns out his older brother, her father, that's where he lives, in St. John, Kansas. And that's the address Roger Marshall is using right now.
Wow.
So there is some other stuff going on about that, because REMP our city commissioner, lives in Arizona part of the time.
Yeah.
Guess what? Arizona and Florida don't pay income tax.
Yeah.
Where, this is really Ed, where is Roger Marshall? If he is paying any income tax at all, it would have to be in Kansas. He is running from Kansas. Remp, who has got elected by saying, I live in Arizona 6 months out of the year. Nobody knows where they're, and if they're not paying income tax, then they are defrauding the government, and they're defrauding us.
Yeah, they are.
And that's their big complaint. Oh, everybody's
fraud,
fraud.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, you gotta get on there.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a
anyway,
big
I'll help you do that because I'm mad about it.
I'm ready. Let's do
Tell a
it.
woman the fact that
Well, the other thing with Roger Marshall, he was a physician. He wasn't that hot, by the way, with OBGYN stuff in Great Bend. I have a sister who works for the Barton County Community College. She was an instructor. But anyway, he says he's got a health care plan, and we would pay the people to get that insurance. They only want to pay $1,500 to $2,000. That won't even buy an ICU bed for half a day, for a fourth of a day.
Right.
ICU beds run $5,000 to $10,000 a day just to be in the bed. Where does he think that? And what
Right.
insurance company
Right.
going to take
well,
you? You know,
Republicans have been saying they've got a plan
No
against
plan.
ACA for all these years, and
Yeah.
they've never come
They've
up with
never had a
anything yet.
yeah, they-